Natutunan natin paano mag-Laplace transform using the derived formulas, taking into consideration linearity property kapag gagamit ka ng common table of Laplace transform. The next formula is kapag meron kang product of two terms such that one of the term is exponential na kaagad, combined or multiplied to any other function of time. Ang magiging sagot daw nito, if you take the Laplace transform, is simply equivalent to a function of s minus a. Ibig sabihin, sige, lagyan na natin sa example. For example, kumuha tayo ng Laplace transform ng e raised to negative 2t t cube. Based on this given, e raised to 8t is e raised to negative 2t and the f of t is t cube. So, ang gagawin lang natin is simply identify what is the value of a in this given, and that is the coefficient of t as an exponent of e. So, that would be negative 2. And identify ano yung function, ano yung f of t natin based on the formula. So, dito sa given natin, t cube yun. What we're going to do is apply common table of Laplace transform para makuha natin yung Laplace transform na f of t, because taking the Laplace transform of f of t gives us f of s. And as you can see, yung sagot ng e raised to 8 f of t natin is simply f of s minus a. Meaning, kailangan makuha natin yung original, yung complex function natin na fs. Tapos, pag nakuha natin sa f of s, papalitan natin si s ng s minus a. So, in here, since this is t cube, we are going to use the formula for t raised to n. That is n factorial of 3 factorial all over s raised to n plus 1. Therefore, ang f of s natin dito will be equivalent to 3 factorial is equivalent to 6 all over s to the 4th. Pagaya for example, tayo ay binigyan ng f of x, which is equivalent to 3x squared minus x plus 1. Di ba pag hiningan tayo ng f of 2, ang ginagawa lang natin is simply substitute. Kaya ito ay magiging f of 3 times 2 squared minus 2 plus 1. And that goes the same for this. Kapag nakuha mo si f of s, tapos hiningi sa'yo si f of s minus a, ibig sabihin, dito sa formulang to, papalitan mo lang si s ng s minus a. Thus, ang sagot nito is f of s minus a. Ang a natin dito is negative 2. So, minus negative 2, that will be positive 2. And this f of s plus 2, s plus 2 will be substituted to every s in this equation. Kaya magiging sagot natin ay 6 all over s plus 2. S plus 2 kapalit na s, quantity raised to 4. And this is our answer for the Laplace transform of e raised to negative 2t plus t cubed. So our next example, for the same formula of Laplace of e raised to 8t f of t, which is f of s minus a, we have the Laplace transform of e raised to 4t cosine 2t. So same process, we have to identify a first. That is the coefficient of t. And we have 4. Identify f of t. Based on this formula, f of t is cosine 2t. And then simply take the Laplace transform of cosine 2t for us to arrive for the Laplace transform of f of t, which is f of s. So, Laplace transform natin for cosine 2t is s over s squared plus k squared. So, we have 4. 2 squared. Next thing is that you have to solve for f of s minus a, which is 4. Isa-substitute lang natin sa s minus 4 sa lahat ng s dito. Therefore, ang magiging sagot natin will be s replaced by s minus 4 over s squared. Magiging s minus 4 squared na siya plus 4. So, to simplify, kaya natin expand to. So, you have s minus 4 all over s squared minus 8s plus 16 plus 4. So finally, we have s minus 4 over s squared minus 8s plus 16 plus 4, that's 20, as the Laplace transform of a raised to 40 cosine 2t. Last example, if we are taking the Laplace transform of e raised to negative pi t hyperbolic sine 5t, same process. Identify what is a, and that is negative pi. Identify what is f of t. In this case, this is hyperbolic sine 5t. Take the Laplace transform of f of t, and that is f of s. And then take the Laplace of transform of hyperbolic sine 5t. So that would be k, so 5, over s squared minus, dahil hyperbolic, k squared. So 25. Applying the formula, function, f of s minus a, which is negative pi, so magiging positive pi na. So, substitute lang natin sa s plus pi dito sa s na to. So, you have 5 all over s plus pi, quantity squared, minus 25. But since upon expansion, parang it will not be practical for us to combine pi squared and negative 25 due to a negative answer. We will accept this as our final answer for the Laplace transform of this function. Our third formula in solving for the Laplace transform is if you have a product of t raised to n and any function of t. To take the Laplace transform, we simply take the nth power. So, kung ano man yung exponent ni t dito, yun yung gagawin natin, exponent dito na of negative 1, multiplied to the nth derivative of f of s. So, for example, this is our first example kanina when we were solving for the Laplace transform of e raised to at f of t. Since this function contains e raised to at. But also, since the same example can also be solved using this formula, dahil meron tayong t raised to n, ang magiging f of t natin this time is the exponential function e raised to negative 2t. Since we have here f of s, upon identifying what f of t is, kukunin natin yung Laplace transform niya. What is the Laplace transform of e raised to at? That is simply 1 all over s minus a. And a here is negative 2. So, minus negative 2 get plus 2. Okay. Applying the formula, this will be negative 1 raised to n, where n is the exponent of t. So, since this is cubed, negative 1 raised to 3. And then take the third derivative with respect to s of 1 all over s plus 2. So, for it to be easier for us to take the differential of this one, let us write this as negative 1 cubed nth derivative with respect to s of s plus 2 raised to negative 1. So, we have negative 1 or negative 1 cubed times, so you're going to take the first derivative of this one, which means we will take two derivatives pa later. So, upon taking the derivative of this one, that would be negative 1, copy the base, minus 1 in the exponent, so negative 2, times the derivative of the base, and that would be positive 1. So, applying, we can multiply the constant na to this constant, so we'll get positive 1, and then we'll take the derivative, two derivatives of s plus 2 raised to negative 2. Thus, if you take the derivative, which is negative 2, s plus 2 raised to negative 3 minus 1 times 1, we will only be left with one more derivative. Okay, and therefore we have negative 2 times the derivative of this one. That will be the last derivative that we will be taking. So we have negative 3 s plus 2 minus 1 in the exponents. We have negative 4. Therefore, this is positive 6. Bringing this down to make it positive, we have s plus 2 raised to 4. Which is the same answer when we solve for this example using this formula. The difference, this one is easier compared to this solution because we are taking derivatives with this kind of solution. Next example, Laplace transform of t squared times cosine 2t. So this will be solved using this formula because it contains t raised to n. Therefore, our f of t in this example is cosine 2t. So we identify f of t, which is cosine 2t. And since we need f of s, we take the Laplace transform of f of t to have f of s. And for cosine, that would be s over s squared plus k squared, where k is equivalent to 2. So we have 4. Next, applying the formula, we have negative 1 raised to the exponent of t. So that would be 2. And in the same exponent, we have second derivative of f of s. Our f of s here is s all over s squared plus 4. Okay, so we have positive 1, second derivative. To solve this easily, taas natin to dito. So we have s times s squared plus 4 raised to negative 1, wherein we will apply differential of uv. And that is u dv plus u derivative of v plus v derivative of u. So for this example, upon applying the first derivative, we have u, which is s, times the derivative of the second term. So you have negative 1, copy the base, s squared plus 4, minus 1 dito, so you have negative 2 na. And then derivative of the base, so we have 2s, plus the second term, s squared plus 4 raised to negative 1, times the derivative of the first term, which is equivalent to 1. Simplifying first before we apply the second derivative, we have negative 2s squared times s squared plus 4 raised to negative 2 plus s squared plus 4 raised to negative 1. Applying the derivative, so if we're going to take the derivative, we have to take the derivative of each term separately. And if we will take the derivative of the first term, this is derivative of product uli. So we apply the same formula. Okay, dito ang sulat para mahaba. O, ganun ulit. U dv. So u, negative 2s squared. Derivative nito. So quotient, power rule ulit. Bring down negative 2. Copy the base, s squared plus 4, minus 1 sa exponent, kaya magiging negative 3 na siya, times derivative ng base. So, you have 2s. Di ba tayo tapos dito? Still have plus, second term naman. Copy the second term, times derivative ni first term. So, the derivative of the first term is negative 4s. So, we're done with the first term, plus, bring down the negative exponent 1. Copy the base, s squared plus 4. Minus 1, so negative 2. Derivative ng base, 2s. And this is the Laplace transform of t squared cosine 2t. What remains is simplifying the answer. So, if we will simplify, we have negative 2, positive 4, positive 8. We have s squared and s cubed over, bring this down to make it positive and exponent. So, s squared plus 4 quantity cube plus negative 4s. So, minus na. Minus 4s. Baba uli para maging positive. So, we have s squared plus 4 raised to positive 2 squared. Negative 1 times 2s. So, negative 2s minus 2s over s squared plus 4 quantity squared. So, since this is of the same, these are like terms, same denominator, pwede natin pagsamahin to. So, we have negative 4s minus 2s. We have negative 6s. Simplifying, we have 8s cubed over s squared plus 4 cubed minus 6s over s squared plus 4 squared. And this will be the Laplace transform of t squared cosine 2t. Okay. Medyo magiging mahirap lang itong solution na to kasi we are applying derivatives. Therefore, you have to review your differential calculus, your basic derivatives. And also, the higher the exponent of your function of t, of your t term, lalong mahaba yung solution natin. Third example, for the Laplace transform of t raised to n f of t. So, in this case, we have t squared, again, with a different f of t, which is hyperbolic sine 5t. So, if f of t is equivalent to hyperbolic sine 5t, we are going to take the Laplace transform of f of t, and that is f of s. In the same manner, we will take the Laplace transform of hyperbolic sine 5t, and that is k. So, ang k natin dito ay 5. So, k over s squared minus because hyperbolic sine, k squared. So, 5 squared, that is 25. Applying the formula, we have negative 1 exponent of t, which is 2 squared. Second derivative of f of s, where f of s is 5 over s squared minus 25. Therefore, this is positive 1, and we simply take two derivatives of 5 times s squared minus 25 raised to negative 1 para madali natin siyang ma-derivative. So, with this function, power rule lang ulit. Ano po? So, applying one derivative, ibig sabihin may isa na lang tayong i-derivative. So, you have negative 1 times 5, you have negative 5 times, copy the base s squared minus 25, and then subtract 1 from the exponent. So, you have negative 2 times the derivative of the base s squared minus 25, that would be 2s. Which means, mag-a-apply na naman tayo ng product rule. This will be negative 10s times s squared minus 25 raised to negative 2. So, UV ulit. UV. So, solution natin. Copy U. It's negative 10s. And then take the derivative of the V term. So, bring down negative 2. Copy the base. S squared minus 25. Minus 1 dito. So, negative 3. It's derivative ng base. Kaya we have 2s pa rin. Plus, copy the V term naman. Second term. S squared minus 25 raised to negative 2 times derivative naman first term. Negative 10s is negative 10. Therefore, simplifying, meron tayong negative 10, negative 2. So, positive 20 times 2. We have 40. S and S squared times s squared minus 25 raised to negative 3. So, bababa lang natin ulit yung exponent niya. Yung function na yun. To make the exponent positive. So, s squared minus 25. Quantity raised to 3. And then we have plus negative 10. So, minus 10. Baba lang ulit to make this positive and exponent. S squared minus 25. Quantity squared. And this is our Laplace transform for t squared hyperbolic sine 5t.